I transmigrated into the role of a tragic heroine in a melodrama. I caught the male lead and his white moonlight having an affair. I trashed his office. My entire family emotionally blackmailed me, forcing me to forgive the male lead. I flipped the dining table. The male lead ordered me to be a mobile blood bank for his white moonlight. I gave him a big slap. No men in my heart, and I naturally become a goddess of vengeance. Splash. A bowl of scalding medicinal soup is thrown onto my face. The soup drips down from my hair. Just arrived and already so thrilling. I leisurely wiped the soup off my face and casually tossed away the dried Ganoderma stuck to my cheek. Across the desk, suit-clad Hwasiu looked at me with a challenging expression. He slowly set down the white porcelain stew pot that still had some soup left, while his other hand pulled back Song Qingqing, who had been about to leave. Song Qingqing fell onto his lap, like a startled deer. She cautiously raised her head to glance at my expression. Hwasiu's thin lips parted slightly. Get out. I am a professional NPC, traversing various novel realms, specializing in playing the hard-to-please female antagonists or supporting characters. After traversing hundreds of books and dying hundreds of times, the system said it would reward me with a chance to be the leading lady. I came, gleefully and naively, but it turned out to be an ancient tear-jerker that breaks the heart and lungs. I've played the vicious female antagonist hundreds of times. Although the endings were never good, I've always been the one inflicting pain on others, me, the meek little white flower who takes abuse. I'm done. It's better to go crazy and exhaust others than to exhaust yourself internally. I swiftly grabbed the laptop from the desk, lifting it high with all my strength. Hwasiu hurriedly hugged Song Qingqing to dodge. I hurled my computer forcefully towards the row of bookshelves behind them. Bang! A loud crash echoed as the computer slammed into the cabinet door. Song Qingqing was so frightened that tears welled up in her eyes, which made Hwasiu's heart ache terribly. Are you crazy? He was seething with anger, ready to start yelling. I immediately picked up the soup pot again and continued to smash it, and the internal phone. Smash it, copper deer ornament, smash. As I wreaked havoc, I unleashed a torrent of curses. You despicable couple, lock yourselves together. Do you think I'm happy to marry you, all of you? Just die. Hwasiu was stunned by my frenzied state, shielding the pale-faced Song Qingqing and stepping aside. Everything I could lift was picked up and smashed. Only when there was nothing left to destroy did I stop. The office was in complete disarray. I was panting heavily, my fair cheeks flushed with excitement. I felt much better after venting, and I looked around, satisfied with my masterpiece. I adjusted my breathing and took off my jacket, which was soaked with soup. Then I pulled out a wet wipe from my bag to wipe away the water stains on my face. Next, I took out a small comb to tidy up my messy hair. I also took the time to reapply my lipstick. A series of actions flowed effortlessly. In just a few seconds, I transformed from a raving shrew back into a dignified noblewoman. Hwasiu was left speechless in astonishment. I then called my father, Song Liren, via video call. Hello, Song Liren answered. Hello, Dad. I want a divorce from Hwasiu. I cut straight to the point and then pointed the camera at the couple embracing in the corner. What's wrong with you? Song Liren was completely confused. You look for yourself, I shouted. Song Qingqing seduced her brother-in-law. Hwasiu hooked up with her sister-in-law. I want a divorce. Find me the best lawyer in the country. I want half of his fortune. If Song Qingqing wants to marry into the family, you must at least get 10 billion in betrothal gifts from him. A divorce and a remarriage will be enough to drain the Hua family's wealth. It's much more effective than secretly shorting their stocks. Song Liren was completely exposed by me, and he was so angry that he almost spat blood. Song Wenwen, are you crazy? What are you talking about? Hwasiu was stunned and roared. What did you say? Shorting stocks. I spoke calmly and composed. Yes. Wasn't your family's stock hitting consecutive daily limit downs last month? My dad did it. Surprised, unexpected. My dad told me to endure you. Wait until he bankrupts your family. Even though I failed, there's still Song Qingqing to take over. Just wait for your demise. Song Liren roared on the other end. Shut up, Song Wenwen. If you don't agree to divorce me, I'll expose even more. I decisively pressed the red button to end the call. Song Qingqing over here starts her act of playing the victim, pitifully crying to Hwasiu. See you, I know nothing. Please believe me. Hwasiu is busy comforting his precious little darling. I know, this has nothing to do with you. I'll get to the bottom of it. Clang. I roughly kicked aside the trash can blocking the floor. The two lovebirds startled, looking at me. I couldn't be bothered to give them a single glance, clutching my bag, and walked out the door with my head held high. Stop. Huasiu commanded. I turned back coldly, asking with a chill, are you asking about stocks? Didn't you say you'd check yourself? Huasiu asked through gritted teeth. Are you serious about the divorce? What else would I be? You cheated during the marriage, and I'll make sure you pay for it. I gave him the middle finger. You're sexually incompetent. Whoever wants to endure this lonely life can have it. I'm going to find a man with 8-pack abs and enjoy life to the fullest. Get lost. Song Wenwen, Huasiu's face turned green with anger. I yanked open the solid wood door of the office with great force. The assistant waiting outside shrank to the side in fright. Bang! I slammed the door shut with a thunderous noise. I left a mess behind without a second thought. I drove away, and a call came in. I checked the caller ID. Auntie Hua. It was Huasiu's mother, Hu Xinlan. Tonight is the night she made me come to Huasiu's company to deliver soup. In every tragic novel, there's a wicked mother-in-law, and Hu Xinlan is that two-faced green tea mother-in-law. She thinks I grew up in the countryside and am not presentable. Hu Xinlan has always disliked me and is sarcastic towards me at home. They keep setting traps for me, making me look bad. Great, another one looking for a scolding. I put on my Bluetooth earphones and answer the call. Hello, has the soup been delivered? Hu Xinlan asked abruptly. I said bluntly, I did deliver it. But your son spilled the soup on me. The original owner, Song Wenwen, had always been timid and cautious in the Hua household, speaking carefully with Huasiu and his mother. My straightforward and impolite tone genuinely shocked Hu Xinlan. She paused for a few seconds before asking, did he spill it on you by accident? He did it on purpose. But I didn't let it go. I trashed his office. Crazy literature never beats around the bush. I always come straight to the point. What? Hu Xinlan clearly couldn't digest what I said. I continued talking to myself. By the way, I found out about Siyu Hua and Qingqing Song's affair. I've decided to let them be together. I want a divorce. Are you happy now? Song Wenwen, what are you talking about? Speak human language. Can't you understand? I enunciated each word clearly. I'm preparing to divorce your mama's boy son. You better start looking for a lawyer for him. Before she could react, I decisively ended the call. While driving, I found a hotel to stay in temporarily. I mentally went through the plot. This is a melodramatic story of a true and false heiress. I am the unfortunate true heiress, Song Wenwen. In the story, the female lead, Song Qingqing, is the switched false heiress. When we were only a few months old, we were hospitalized for jaundice and were mistakenly switched at birth. It wasn't until 8 years ago, when we both turned 15, that the Song family discovered the truth. The Song family couldn't bear to part with the daughter they had raised for many years, so they announced to the outside world that I was the adopted daughter and that she was the real heiress. What's even more amusing is that we both have the panda blood type, and Song Qingqing suffers from mild hemophilia. It is a coagulation disorder. The entire Song family treats her like a fragile porcelain doll, afraid to drop her in their hands, afraid to melt her in their mouths. The Hua family, longtime friends of the Song family, also cherish her as a precious gem, and I, the real daughter of the Song family, became her mobile blood bank. They felt that my return had taken everything from her, and that I owed her, especially Siyu Hua. He and Qingqing Song were childhood sweethearts. But due to Song Qingqing's illness, no matter how much his parents liked her, they couldn't possibly let a sickly woman bear children for the Hua family. The Hua family wants me to have a child for Siyu Hua first, then they'll get rid of the mother and keep the child, and marry Song Qingqing into the family. In short, both families have their own calculations. Since Siyu is a devoted lover, he vowed to remain chaste for Song Qingqing. In the 3 years of our marriage, he never touched me. The Hua family saw me as a barren hen, while the Song family despised me for not being able to hold my husband's heart. I swallowed my bitter pill in silence, subjected to collective PUA by them. Watching Huasiu and Song Qingqing grow closer, I became anxious. I calculated the timing of ovulation and drugged Huasiu's meal. Spending a night with him, I successfully became pregnant with his child. Huasiu didn't initially know I was pregnant, and because of being tricked, he grew even more disdainful of me. He constantly mocked me with his words and would often resort to physical abuse. Even when I was 3 months pregnant, he forced me to donate blood for Song Qingqing. After learning that I was pregnant, Song Qingqing persuaded Huasiu to let me give birth to the child. This way, he could dump me and marry her into the family with a clear conscience. I overheard this conversation. Despairing, I fled through the night to protect my child. An accident occurred, and the car plunged into the river. Everyone thought I was dead, but I was miraculously saved and survived. Only after I died did Hwasiu finally awaken. It turned out that he had already fallen in love with me, and those who had bullied me were filled with regret. They wailed and repented at my grave, begging for me to come back to life. Then I hid away, gave birth to Hwasiu's son, and made a triumphant return. Then came a series of chasing the wife to the crematorium scenarios. However, the original protagonist was a saint reborn, and she didn't really seek revenge on those who hurt her. Hwasiu staged a few scenes of waiting in the rain and kneeling to apologize. I softened and wiped the slate clean of all past grievances. The ending is that I forgave everyone who wronged me and ended up here with Hwasiu. Ah, the world has wronged me, but I respond with song. Such an ending. I really spit, after being tortured to the point of no return. Do I still have to smile and forgive them? May everyone who has wronged me explode on the spot. Okay, according to the original plot, next I should drug Siyu Hua. To change my fate, I've decided to fight them to the end. I'm destined to be alone, and I don't need men. I hid in the hotel, pondering my next move. Though I'm taking the crazy route, I'm not an idiot. Facing off against the Hua and Song families with just my own strength is like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. I must find a powerful backer. A name emerges in my mind. Was Siyuan, Howard's cousin, the antagonist in the original story. Howard's father was originally the head of the Hua family but lost his position due to his frail health. Taken over by Howard's father, he bided his time, always wanting to reclaim the position of family head. However, Howard's protagonist aura was too strong. Hua Siyuan's role in the story is to oppose Hua Siyu in the business world and then be humiliated by him. To highlight his protagonist aura, the saying goes, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and Hua Siyuan is my best potential partner. I contacted him through connections and arranged a meeting time and place. I stayed at the hotel for 2 days and found a place to live during that time. Taking advantage of Hua Siyu's working hours, I brought people back to Hua Siyu's villa to move my things. Expensive jewelry, designer bags, shoes, clothing, none of my belongings will be left behind. It took a full 4 hours to pack everything, filling over a dozen large boxes. I had the moving company deliver the items to the house I rented. In the distance, a familiar-looking man walked over, accompanied by 2 bodyguards. Mr. Song requests your presence for dinner tonight, the leading man said sternly. I won't go to that trap. I ignored him and turned to leave. The man signaled to the bodyguards, and they immediately stopped me. Miss, don't force us, from his tone. I could tell that if I didn't cooperate, they would resort to force. I sneered coldly. Fine, you're the ones forcing me. I tucked the prepared voice recorder into my pocket and went to the appointment. In the private room, both the elders from the Song and Hua families were present, and naturally, Hua Siyu and Song Qingqing were there as well. Hua Siyu, who always pays attention to his image, wore a casual suit with a black shirt, and surprisingly, he didn't even wear a tie. Oh right. This big baby doesn't know how to tie a tie. Before, I used to tie his tie for him every day before he went to work. In the original text, after my death, he never wore a tie to any occasion. As a way to remember me, people all praised how deeply and faithfully Mr. Hua cherished his late wife. I'm really sick of it. This scene would have probably left Song Wenwen trembling with fear in the past, but it's quite interesting. Song Hua and Hua Siyu have always been outwardly friendly but inwardly at odds. Song Liren is cunning and always covets the Hua family's wealth. Hua Siyu also secretly harbors thoughts of taking over the Song Corporation. Both families harbored ulterior motives, and I became the sacrificial pawn in their struggle for interests. I hadn't even sat down properly when the elders began to criticize me one after another. The accusations revolved around a few main themes: selfishness, willfulness, acting on one's own without considering the consequences. Song Liren said sternly, Qingqing and Siyu have grown up together since childhood. Their bond is like that of siblings. Isn't this the first time you've known this? Must you make a mountain out of a molehill and treat marriage as a joke? They are experts at shifting the blame, aiding the adopted daughter in persecuting their own biological daughter, and doing so with such righteous justification. I remained silent, opened a certain video on my phone, and turned up the volume to the maximum. A symphony of passionate sounds filled the entire private room. Don't, not here, see you, Ching Ching, I can't hold back anymore. I want you, please. See you. This voice belonged to the two people whom Song Liren had referred to as, just like siblings in terms of affection. Just then, a waiter came in to serve the dishes, caught in an awkward dilemma by the indecent sounds. Was Siyu and Song Qingqing's faces turned green instantly. Even Hu Xinlan and my birth mother Shen Huiling were so embarrassed that they almost wanted to hide under the table. Song Liren pointed at me, stuttering, you, but couldn't squeeze out a single word for a long time. Was Siyu's father, Wu Zhenlian, angrily chased the waiter out. I smiled confidently and said, "What a touching sibling bond." Was Siyu was furious, slamming the table and standing up. Song Wenwen, where did you get this from? Of course, I hacked into his company's security system and found it from the surveillance in his office. I'm an old hand at transmigrating into books. Can't I have some hacking skills? I answered off topic. If I use this to file for divorce, I should definitely win, right? Song Liren scolded me. Song Wenwen, do you even have any shame left? Oh my goodness. I let out a strange laugh. Was Siyu and Song Qingqing, one cheating in marriage and the other seducing her brother-in-law. Neither of them is afraid of losing face, so what am I afraid of? Song Qingqing played her role as a white lotus, burying her face in her mother Shen Huiling's embrace and sobbing. Hu Xinlan was the shrewdest among them. Seeing that I was different from usual, she immediately changed her tone. When, you and Siyu have been husband and wife. This matter concerns the reputation of both our families. Let's not act on impulse. Everything can be discussed. I spoke calmly and composed. What, weren't you just united in blaming me? Isn't it obvious who the wrong party is now? You're quite skilled at double standards. Was Siyu couldn't hold back and said, Song Wenwen, delete that video immediately. Delete it if you want. I've made multiple copies anyway. I smiled wickedly. I even had a recording of their trysts at home. Would I tell him? Wu Zhenlian held back Hu Siyu, who wanted to jump up and hit me, and spoke gently. When, our family hasn't treated you badly during the years you've been married into our family, have we? You haven't committed any major offenses, except for failing to produce an heir for our family. Siyu and Qingqing's affair was his fault. Qingqing has been like a daughter to us since she was little. She was just momentarily confused. Give them a chance. Trying to appeal to my emotions and reason here, just because I can't bear an heir, I have to endure their adulterous affair. Does this mean I got a good deal? I laughed in anger, giving them another chance to cheat on me. Uncle Hua, don't you have any idea what kind of person your son is? I'm not capable of continuing your family line, but Song Qingqing can still be counted on. I abruptly changed my tone, striking at the heart of the matter. By the way, hemophilia is a hereditary disease, right? Adding salt to the wound, that's exactly what I'm doing. I sympathize with vulnerable groups born with congenital diseases, but not with those shameless individuals who think I'm weak, so I'm right, and everyone has to accommodate me. Everyone's faces turned pale. Siyu was successfully provoked by me, and he jumped up in fury, slapping me across the face. I could have dodged, but I chose not to. Slap. A crisp slap echoed through the air. My cheeks immediately burned with a stinging pain. I can't just let this slap go unanswered. Quick as a flash, I grabbed a plate from the table and smashed it over Siyu's head. Splash, the plate shattered. Siyu was stunned. The entire room was in shock. Before he could react, I shouted at the top of my lungs, I'm going to fight you to the end. My specialty is unpredictable, insane, intermittent, and completely dysfunctional. I grabbed the tablecloth and flipped over the entire table, sending all the dishes and food flying. Everyone sitting there got caught in the mess. Siyu cursed loudly. Song Wenwen, are you crazy? Yes, I'm crazy. Crazy people don't get punished for murder. I picked up the 20-gene chair and started smashing it, probably recalling my last episode. Siyu suddenly took a few steps back. Song Liren rushed over to stop me, and I took the opportunity to scratch his face. I didn't stop talking either, continuing to lash out. Since you don't want me around, why did you even bring me back? Isn't it just so I'll marry Siyu, and you can gobble up his family's fortune? You two families are vampires, using me as a pawn. Isn't Song Qingqing the one with hemophilia? I'm the one with a nervous breakdown. It's all because of you. Why can't you feel sorry for me and sympathize with me? Hu Xinlan and Shen Huiling shielded Song Qingqing and retreated out, leaving the 3 men behind who also dared not approach me. They were even more afraid to call the restaurant security. Fearing embarrassment, only after exhausting myself did I finally stop. I caught my breath and tidied up my appearance. I even walked over to the sideboard in front of them and poured myself a glass of water. After catching my breath, I said, "Don't invite me to these dinners next time, I'll ruin them every time I come." After causing a scene, I felt much better and left by opening the door, just like last time. A group of waiters eavesdropping outside the door. Song Qingqing and the other 2 hadn't gone far either, and they looked terrified upon seeing me. I ignored them and walked away with my flat shoes, head held high. I didn't waste a moment after leaving the restaurant. First, I contacted a reseller of luxury goods to sell off everything I didn't need and cash out. For jewelry, I only kept 999 gold. Anything that was overpriced or a tax on intelligence was sold off. Then, I looked up the laws of this world and quickly drafted a share transfer agreement. Before I married Siyu Hua, the Hua family gave me 5% of the shares of the Hua group as a gesture of sincerity. I planned to sell these shares to Siyu and Hua, giving him more leverage to counter Siyu Hua. After traveling through so many worlds to complete missions, I'm not one to freeload. The next day, I arrived at the agreed location with the contract in hand. I am very careful with anti-surveillance, making sure no one is following me. I've built my crazy persona very well, and Hua Siyu and the others think I'm insane, never expecting me to pull this off. Hua Siyuan has a stern expression, never smiling, exuding an alluring aura of self-restraint. After reviewing my contract, he probed, asking tentatively, "Why do you want to cooperate with me?" Hua Siyuan, the big villain, is inherently suspicious. Given my past reputation as a devoted admirer of Hua Siyu, it's only natural for him to suspect a trap. I didn't elaborate and simply sent him a video of Hua Siyu and Song Qingqing having an affair. He finished reading and immediately revealed an understanding expression. "Mr. Hua, this is my pledge of loyalty to you." He gave a relaxed smile, his eyes sparkling like stars, and then asked, "What do you need me to cooperate with?" The intelligent villain is indeed the preferred choice for cooperation. I won't beat around the bush and come straight to the point. I want a divorce from Siyu Hua, but according to the terms of the prenuptial agreement, I won't get much out of it. However, if he is the one at fault and this matter becomes public, then things might be different. "Oh, how do you want this to unfold? I heard that your company owns several online operation platforms and has partnerships with major portals." My hints were more than obvious. Hua Siyuan raised his sharp eyebrows and said lightly, "They're not public figures. It won't cause much of a stir," I said with full confidence. In the era of internet information, anyone can go viral overnight. And isn't the feud between a wife and a mistress an eternal hot topic? Hua Siyuan didn't speak, but from his expression, it was clear that he was tempted. I added casually, "If that's not enough, we can throw in a real versus. Fake heiress from a wealthy family, a battle over inheritance. Would that lack for topics?" Hua Siyuan spoke with admiration. "Miss Song, you really are fearless. It's just a cornered dog jumping over a wall. When people are pushed to the brink, they'll do anything." Hua Siyuan extended his hand toward me. Impressive. I shook hands with him. "You flatter me." This handshake laid the foundation for our partnership. After meeting the main antagonist, I rushed to my next destination without delay. I drove to a small village 40 kilometers away from the city. The original owner lived here for 15 years. In the home of her adoptive parents, I carried the prepared nutritional supplements and arrived at a long-forgotten mud brick house. My foster mother, Xiao Baozhu, was washing clothes in the courtyard when she saw me come in, her face filled with boundless joy. "Mom, I came back to see you." I gave Xiao Baozhu a shy smile. The original Song Wenwen, after being recognized by her birth family, never came back to visit her foster parents, all in the name of avoiding suspicion. And as for her biological daughter, Song Qingqing, she treated her birth parents, who lived in a small village, with utter disdain, fearing to be associated with them. Xiao Baozhu was overjoyed, setting down the washing bat and shouting into the house, "Old man, Wenwen is back." Moments later, a middle-aged man with a cane emerged, trembling. "This is my foster father, Liao Jingquan. His hemophilia is much more severe than Song Qingqing's. His leg muscles have already necrotized, making it difficult for him to walk. I quickly went over to support him. Xiao Baozhu wanted to keep me for dinner, so I told her to just make a few simple home-cooked dishes, but she still happily went to kill a chicken. Rural people's emotions are so pure, free from unnecessary deceit. Liao Jinquan and I sat in the courtyard chatting. He told me he didn't have much time left. I couldn't help but feel sorrow. Is it really true that good people don't get rewarded, while the wicked live a long life? I encouraged him to stay strong and gave him money, urging him to go to the hospital regularly for blood transfusions. Liao Jinquan is not a panda blood type. Song Qingqing's panda blood is inherited from Xiao Baozhu. Liao Jinquan shook his head. It's not necessary. My illness can't be cured. And even if it were, I'd just be a useless person, with this money. It's better to leave it for your mother to rely on. His wife was the one he could least bear to part with. I promised, Dad, don't worry, I will definitely take good care of Mom. During dinner, Xiao Baozhu intentionally brought up the topic of Song Qingqing. Wen, by the way, how is Qingqing now? Is she in good health? It's only natural to care about one's own daughter, so I try to say what they want to hear. She's doing very well. My biological parents treat her exceptionally well. As if she were their own, she goes to the hospital for blood transfusions every month, and we also have a private doctor taking care of her. Yes, the blood she receives is donated by me. The original owner was forced by Hua Siyu to go to the hospital for blood donation every 6 months, serving as Song Qingqing's mobile blood bank. Counting the days, the next blood transfusion is not far off, Xiao Baozhu said with relief. That's good, she then asked. Qingqing is 23 this year, right? Has she found a partner yet? Yes, she found my husband. I grumbled to myself. As I was pondering how to speak up, Liao Jinquan said in a deep voice, Why ask so much? Just eat your food. He didn't seem too pleased to hear about Song Qingqing. His face already darkened when Xiao Baozhu asked the first question. Xiao Baozhu said resentfully, I just wanted to know how my daughter is doing. Liao Jinquan snorted coldly. You treat her as your daughter, but does she even look up to you? The first time we met, she cried and screamed that she didn't want to come back, not even willing to step through the gate of our courtyard. We won't do that warm face on a cold bench thing. Xiaobaozu remained silent. I picked up a piece of chicken blood curd and gave it to Liao Jinquan to calm him down. Unlike the Song couple who were so biased, my adoptive parents had wanted to fully accept Song Qingqing, their biological daughter. But as Liao Jinquan put it, Song Qingqing clearly looked down on them. Disreputable biological parents were her stain. I deeply understand the principle that nurturing is greater than giving birth. Since Song Qingqing refuses to fulfill filial duty, I'll take care of her foster parents for her. Anyway, the Song couple doesn't care for me, and they'd love to make full use of me. In the following days, I dealt with the divorce while making time every few days to visit my foster parents. With the consent of my foster parents, I quietly transferred my household registration back to their household register. Song Qingqing refused to acknowledge her biological parents, and her household registration still remained under the Song family, legally. She had no relationship with Liao Jinquan as a couple, of course. I had my reasons for doing this. After selling stocks and luxury goods, I cashed out close to a small fortune. Although this amount of money is insignificant compared to what the Hua and Song families have, it is more than enough to secure my future. First, I purchased an apartment under the name of Xiao Jinhua. Then, using her ID, I opened an account, invested a portion in financial management, and deposited the rest into my foster parents' bank account. Thus, all this money has nothing to do with Siyu Hua anymore. Of course, I didn't mistreat my foster parents. I paid to renovate their house. I also bought them many new appliances. My foster parents lived frugally all their lives and couldn't get used to a luxurious lifestyle. This is the best way I can repay them. There are no walls that don't let any wind through in this world. It wasn't long before Hua Siyu heard about me selling my shares. One day when I went out to shop, he blocked me at the entrance of the community. Song Wen, I thought you were just crazy, but I didn't expect you to be vicious too, he accused tearfully, each word dripping with emotion. You actually sold the shares to Siyu and Hua. Do you know what relationship he has with my family? A relationship of enmity. I leaned arrogantly against the car door, thinking that lighting a cigarette now would fit my aura even more. Unfortunately, in this world, I don't smoke. How dare you conspire with outsiders to trick me? He was so agitated that he seemed ready to pounce on me and bite. As usual, my bag still contained a voice recorder. which I would turn on whenever I interacted with him. I continued to pour oil on the fire, saying, "Isn't that funny? You both share the same last name, Hua, and the same grandfather. How are you an outsider? But me, I have no emotional foundation or physical relationship with you. We are the real outsiders." He grabbed my collar fiercely and said, "Song Wenwen, you have no right to transfer shares without authorization. I can sue you." "Sure, let's do it together with the divorce case," I taunted, "the louder the better. I can't wait for the whole world to know what kind of people you and Song Qingqing are. You dare to threaten me with Qingqing." He finally realized that I wasn't really crazy. "Didn't you threaten me first, Governor Hua? Just because you can set fires doesn't mean I can't light a lamp." He roughly pushed me away, pointing at me and saying, "Very well, this is what you asked for. Just you wait." Wasiu acted swiftly, and the very next day I received a lawsuit from a lawyer demanding the return of the 5% stock, claiming it was marital property. I was prepared, and my lawyer promptly presented the agreement I had when I accepted the stock, when the Hua family gave me stocks. I had only held a wedding ceremony with Siyu Hua. We later got our marriage certificate. In other words, these stocks do not belong to marital property. Siyu Hua was not willing to give up and started arguing with me, but it didn't last 3 days before he gave in. Song Qingqing needed a blood transfusion, but there was no plasma left. I was shopping in the mall for my foster parents when Hua Siyu's call came unexpectedly. He called 5 times before I finally answered. "You need to come to Chenming Hospital right away. Qingqing needs plasma." This way of asking for help is truly something else. My reaction was even more impressive. I just hung up. He kept calling back, furious but forced to lower his position. "As long as you donate blood to Qingqing, I'll drop the lawsuit." "No need to drop it. You have no chance of winning this case," Wasiu exclaimed anxiously. "Qingqing needs blood urgently. Are you going to stand by and watch her die?" "What's that got to do with me? Where are you now?" "None of your business." I hung up the phone again and decisively blocked him. I bought daily necessities and drove to my foster parents' home. Several masons were painting the walls, while Liao Jingquan and Xiao Baozhu sat with me in the temporary shed set up in the yard. Liao Jingquan said, Wen, with the new policies now in place, homesteads can be inherited by children. Your mother and I have discussed it. And we've decided to leave this house to you, Dad. This house was built by you and Mom brick by brick. Xiao Baozhu interjected, Wen, although our old house isn't worth much, the land here still has some value. There's a chance of compensation if there's a future demolition. Even if there are additions, they would be yours and Dad's. As we were talking, the roar of a car engine approached. A silver luxury car stopped outside the courtyard gate, and the door opened. Hua Siyu, along with 2 burly men, got out of the car and strode toward us with a menacing air. Seeing this, "Are you planning to force me?" Upon noticing this, I immediately got up and walked over. Hua Siyu straightforwardly said, "Are you coming with me willingly, or should I have someone drag you up?" I was seething with anger as I raised my voice. "Which law gives you the right to force someone to donate blood? What's the law worth? If anything happens to Qingqing, 10 lives of yours wouldn't be enough to atone." He spouted such outrageous words. I shouted sharply, "Are you human? Hua Siyu, I'm on my period, and it's been less than 6 months since my last blood transfusion. Is your lover's life valuable? But mine isn't." I wasn't lying. My period just ended, and I absolutely can't donate blood right now. "Anyway, you have to go today." Hua Siyu gave a signal to the bodyguards, and they immediately stepped forward to apprehend me. "Let me go, you beast. Forcing me to donate blood for your mistress. Aren't you afraid of being struck by lightning?" I struggled with all my might. Our commotion caught the attention of the craftsman and my foster parents. Liao Jingquan stumbled and swung his cane, rushing over. "Let go of my daughter." Hua Siyu probably didn't realize he was Song Qingqing's biological father, yet he brutally shoved Liao Jingquan aside with a palm strike. Liao Jingquan lost his footing and fell heavily to the ground. I was also panicked at this moment, my eyes red as I cursed. "You beast, my dad has hemophilia. He can't get hurt." Hua Siyu paused for a moment, but the bodyguards still dragged me towards the car. I turned back with a heart-wrenching cry, Dad. Xiao Baozhu came running over, tearfully helping Liao Jingquan. All the masons dropped their tools and rushed over to rescue me. Seeing the injustice, the 2 sides clashed, causing a huge commotion. After breaking free, I took the opportunity during the chaos to slap Hua Siyu. This is Song Qingqing's biological father. How could you be so cruel? He seemed unprepared and was stunned on the spot. I turned and left. When was Siyu called out to me with deep regret. I ignored him and quickly helped Xiao Baozhu carry Liao Jingquan into the shed. Thank goodness, he wasn't bleeding or injured. I expected Hua Siyu to resort to extreme measures, but I didn't anticipate it would involve my foster parents. I absolutely cannot let this go. I wiped away my tears, gasped for breath, and took out my phone to call the police. Half an hour later, at the police station, Hua Siyu flatly denied the charges of trespassing, assault, and attempted kidnapping. He sat in the interrogation room, arrogantly crossing his legs. My lawyer will handle negotiations with you. I won't say a word. The police had received information, knowing he was the heir to the powerful Hua group, and no one dared to do anything to him. I knew it wouldn't be easy to take him down, but I had nothing to lose. Hua Siyu and his group were quickly bailed out. The only consolation was that he dared not force me to donate blood again. Although Liao Jingquan was not seriously injured, I still arranged for him to be hospitalized for observation. The house is being renovated, so it's more comfortable to sleep in the hospital. That night, a video emerged out of nowhere. Beastly husband forces wife to donate blood to his mistress, injures father-in-law with hemophilia. Yes, I installed surveillance cameras at my foster parents' home, originally intended for theft prevention. I never expected it to inadvertently capture Hua Siyu's brutality. The video was not edited in any way, only the parts mentioning real names were muted. It fully revealed the evil deeds and appearance of Hua Siyu, his line, "What's the law worth?" and my line, "For a little mistress, you forced me to donate blood," completely ignited the anger of netizens. Under the influence of the water army hired by Hua Siyuan, the video exploded online overnight. Views exceeded 10 million, and shares and comments surpassed 500,000. By the time Hua Siyu received the news to delete the post, it was already too late. Official accounts had already stepped in, educating the public on legal knowledge and medical common sense. Netizens with great investigative skills quickly uncovered Hua Siyu's identity. Keyboard warriors swarmed in, launching verbal attacks. This monster, detested by both gods and men, was actually released on bail. Money can make the devil turn the millstone. The lives of the poor don't matter. Who is that mistress? Has no one uncovered her yet? Please act civilized. And if you can use force, don't resort to words. What's the point of cursing here? Go curse at the scumbag's company and his doorstep. I'm so angry it hurts my liver. I'll crowdfund $100 to hire someone to drain the scumbag's blood. Under pressure, the police had no choice but to arrest Siyu Hua. I stayed in the hospital under the pretext of taking care of Liao Jingquan. After Hua Siyu was caught, Song Qingqing and the two elders of the Song family came to the door. In the ward, Song Qingqing hypocritically knelt down and kowtowed to me, begging me to spare Hua Siyu. In front of my foster parents, I no longer took the route of acting crazy, so as not to scare the elderly. Song Qingqing knelt down, and I knelt down as well. "Qingqing, please spare me, my body really can't donate blood anymore. I'm severely anemic, my menstrual cycle is all messed up, my dad's condition is getting worse, and if something happens to me, how can my mom manage alone? Please, have mercy, all women are more or less anemic." But I just exaggerated the situation to make it sound worse. Mr. and Mrs. Song Li Ren intended to use moral coercion to force me into compliance, but they didn't expect me to take the lead. Hearing me address Liao Jingquan and his wife as mom and dad further enraged them. Song Qingqing continued to play the victim. "Sister, it wasn't me who sent Siyu to find you. I didn't know he would force you to donate blood. I've been feeling dizzy and had low blood sugar recently, and he thought my condition had worsened, which is why he did something so foolish." At this, Liao Jingquan became furious and started shouting profanities. "Stop pretending to be innocent with me. If you don't acknowledge us, fine, but you're destroying Wenwen's family, forcing her to donate blood for you. I truly regret not strangling you to death when I gave birth to you." Xiao Baozhu couldn't bring herself to be harsh with her own daughter, only shedding tears. I mimicked Song Qingqing's tea-like, manipulative speech. "Dad, please don't get angry, this is all my fate. I shouldn't have returned to the Song family. I should have stayed with you. Qingqing may not be a child of the Song family, but she has a deep connection with them. It was me who overestimated myself, me who disrupted their family's harmony. I originally wanted to atone, thinking that donating blood to Qingqing for free could make up for her, but my health really doesn't allow it. Huasiu keeps pressuring me, and I'm truly at my wit's end. These self-deprecating words of mine brought tears to the eyes of Liao Jingquan. A tough man. What are you talking about? You were originally the young lady of the Song family, and you suffered a lot with us since you were young. They are the ones who should atone. Not only did they not treat you well, but they also exploit you like this. Good people are always taken advantage of. Unable to watch any longer. Song Liren couldn't help but interject. When, we haven't mistreated you since you came back these years. Regarding Siyu and Qingqing's matter, we already explained it to you last time, but you refused to give them a chance. As for the blood donation, it was initially voluntary on your part. If your health was poor, you should have told us. We would have found another blood source. Was it necessary to cause such a scene that everyone couldn't handle it, as expected of an old fox? He managed to pin all the blame on me with just a few words. I deflected with ease. I know Qingqing and Siyu Hua are truly in love, and I wanted to help them, so I already proposed a divorce to Siyu Hua, but for some reason, he refused to agree. This time, he even kidnapped me to force me to donate blood and injured my father. I don't believe I've ever wronged him. I've done my best to take care of him within my capabilities, folding every pair of his underwear and every tie, but 3 years. We've been married for 3 years. He's never had feelings for me. If he doesn't love me, why not set me free? Why keep hurting me? Do I owe him something? Song Liren glared coldly. So, you're determined not to drop the lawsuit. If I drop the lawsuit, what if he tries to force me again later? I cried loudly. I just want a healthy body so I can take care of my parents. My biological mother, Shen Huiling, said in exasperation. When, you need to understand. We are your real parents. You're siding with Qingqing and Huasiyu, not caring whether I live or die. I dare not acknowledge you as my parents. I only beg you to let me live. I've already changed my name back to Liao Wen. Please leave me alone. I even abandoned my surname, making it clear that I wanted to sever all ties with them. Song Liren was furious. Liao Wen, is it? Very well. Remember what you've just said. In the future, you won't get a single cent from the Song family's wealth. After they left, my foster parents and I comforted each other briefly. Liao Jingquan brought up the old topic again. When, the house in our hometown will be left to you. It may not compare to the Song families, but it's our parents' intention for you, to ease his worries. I agreed with him. All right, Dad, I'll follow your wishes. I used the excuse of washing my face to leave the hospital room, then took out the voice recorder from my pocket and exported the audio I had just recorded. When the wall falls, everyone pushes. When the drum breaks, everyone beats it. With Huasiyu's arrest, a series of butterfly effects rippled through the Hua Corporation. First, several stocks under the Hua Corporation's umbrella experienced consecutive daily limit drops for 3 sessions, resulting in a loss of over tens of billions in market value. Huasiyu's father, Hua Zhenlian, was so enraged that he suffered a heart attack and was hospitalized for emergency treatment. Then several major shareholders suddenly turned against him, accusing Huasiyu of moral corruption and damaging the company's reputation, forcing him to relinquish his power. It was a case of one crisis after another. Subsequently, allegations surfaced that Huasiyu and his father were involved in insider trading, embezzlement of public funds, tax evasion, and other offenses. Once convicted, they face 5 to 20 years in prison. Due to the video incident, the Hua Corporation has become the target of public criticism, as the public previously paid little attention to economic news. Now, it has surged to the top of online headlines, earning multiple trending topics. When Siyu and Hua contacted me, he told me, the shareholders' meeting will be held in a few days. The shareholders have already coordinated and are preparing to elect me as the new chairman. Congratulations, Chairman Hua. I offered my congratulations in advance. You played a crucial role. I'm not the type to discard someone after their usefulness is over. I will continue to provide assistance with your matters. Yes, bringing down the Huasiyu father and son duo is not enough. There's also the Song Corporation. Song Liren and Hua Zhenlian are in cahoots. If he isn't eliminated, Huasiyuan's position as chairman will never be secure. Song Liren has always treated me as a mere pawn. For a businessman like him who never acts without profit, it's not worth investing my familial feelings in him. As for Mother Shen Huiling, the only one she doted on was Song Qingqing. At the Hua Corporation, chaos ensued. While the misfortunes of the Song Corporation were just beginning, one day, An anonymous account posted an audio file in an internal group chat of several Song Corporation employees. "This is all my fate. I shouldn't have returned to the Song family. I should have stayed with you. Although Qingqing isn't a child of the Song family, she has deep ties with them. It was my arrogance, my fault, for disrupting their family's unity. Yes, it's the audio I secretly recorded in the hospital that day. So, the adopted daughter that the Song family publicly claimed was actually their biological daughter, and the adopted daughter was the one who was switched at birth. Moreover, this adopted daughter is the mistress of that beastly husband." Song Liren was furious. He called to scold me. "I said last time that I wouldn't give you the property just to scare you. What are you going crazy about now?" I replied calmly, "Mr. Song's boundless love. His affection for his foster daughter even greater than that for his own daughter. Wouldn't this make for a beautiful story? You're forcing me to tear apart our relationship. You're too kind. My face is already torn. Do you think such petty tricks can trip up your old man? Then let's see how it plays out." I hung up the phone, ignoring his impotent rage. This audio clip was quickly spread by someone with an agenda, and with the help of paid trolls. Public opinion began to turn against Song Liren, forcing his own daughter to donate blood for his adopted daughter. Am I just too old-fashioned? Isn't he rich? Can't he just buy blood? Why does he have to take it from his own daughter? I think this old bastard is just trying to curry favor with that scumbag from the Hua family. The scumbag likes to keep his adopted daughter, so he has to keep her alive. This old geezer isn't thinking of taking his adopted daughter for himself, is he? You saying that just now made it click for me. Song Liren had intended to take advantage of the chaos at the Hua Corporation to profit for himself. Little did he expect his own backyard to catch fire. Song Liren was so furious that he stomped his feet, instructing his lawyer to issue a statement, threatening to sue the rumor mongers. Many netizens had their accounts suspended, yet this did not stop the spread of the news. Hua Siyuan's hired internet trolls struck again. And soon evidence of Song Liren's alleged criminal activities from years ago was exposed. Even a construction accident that occurred at the Song family's business over a decade ago was dug up. Dozens of workers were innocently caught in danger, and many couldn't even get a single penny in compensation. This is 100 times more serious than drawing blood from a daughter. And the news instantly shot to the top of the trending searches. The internet was flooded with curses. The Song family's old bastard is just as bad as the two father and son from the Hua family. Oh my god, those workers are so pitiful, evil capitalists. They're really something else. Let the old bastard rot in jail. Song Liren is wealthy but ruthless, having done every evil deed imaginable, and his background is even dirtier than that of the Hua Siyu father and son. The original owner, Song Wenwen, was sentimental about family ties and always shielded him, but I won't. It's precisely because I know both families are no good that I chose to break ties with them. Song Liren underestimated me too much, not even considering me a threat. He had initially thought that such scandalous love affairs among the wealthy were merely fodder for gossip after dinner. Once the buzz died down, everything would be fine. He didn't understand the concept of a small move affecting the whole situation. Those tabloid stories were merely the lever that set everything in motion. So much so that when the scandal broke, it caught him off guard. With the situation becoming critical, he was arrested by the police on his way to the airport to flee. Fleeing from justice only added to his crimes. Song Liren probably never dreamed that things would come to this. Song Liren was thrown into prison, leaving Shen Huiling and Song Qingqing without protection. Although the two did not directly participate in these illegal activities, they enjoyed the fruits of Song Liren's illegal gains, so the public naturally would not let them off. Especially Shen Huiling, who had always styled herself as a philanthropist, now saw her image completely collapse, becoming a pariah, and Song Qingqing was not spared either. It was revealed that her hemophilia was not severe at all, and basic needs could be met with daily use of thrombin. The Chenming hospital, that provided her with blood transfusions, had long been bribed by her. The reason she forced me to be her blood bank. First, to gain sympathy from Hua Siyu and the Song couple. Second, to better control and suppress me. It's true, she managed just fine without me for the first 15 years. Why did her blood transfusion needs suddenly increase as soon as I returned? Her excuse was excessive blood loss after her monthly period. This matter was originally exposed only after my death. Song Qingqing also lost the hearts of the people and became the chief culprit of my persecution. Half a year later, the verdict was issued. Hua Zhenlian took all the blame upon himself. He did this to preserve Hua Siyu, hoping that he could rise again. On the day Hua Siyu was released, Song Qingqing went to pick him up, providing timely assistance. A dying camel is still bigger than a horse, and no matter what, Hua Siyu still had some family assets left. Hua Siyu had learned about Song Qingqing's schemes while in prison, and he had a falling out with her. He even tried to reconcile with me, frequently sending messages and calling me. The content mainly involves repenting for oneself and asking for my forgiveness. I have no intention of following the plot. As for the cremation scene, whoever wants to be cremated can go ahead. I directly gave him my assistant's number and told him to schedule an appointment if he needed anything. After encountering several rejections, Hua Siyu gave up. 3 years later, I unexpectedly ran into Siyu Hua at a bidding meeting. His face was gaunt, his gaze sullen. The image of the once spirited and proud young master was completely gone. I knew that the Hua Corporation had been entirely controlled by Siyu and Hua in recent years. Hua Siyu tried multiple times to seize power but never succeeded. Instead, he was viciously attacked by Hua Siyuan, exhausting the last bit of capital he had. Meanwhile, I hit the jackpot. A rare earth mine was discovered under the house of my foster parents. My foster parents had already transferred the house to me. And I now earn 5 million a year just by doing nothing. I stripped a few small goals from Siyu Hua when we divorced. With ample funds, I took the opportunity to invest in an energy development company. My secretary and assistant followed me, and I exchanged glances with Siyu Hua from afar. He quickly averted his eyes, looking guilty about the subsequent developments of others. Song Qingqing fled abroad and reportedly married a wealthy older overseas Chinese. The children of the overseas Chinese have always been wary of her, transferring all the assets away. My biological mother, Shen Huiling, survives on the modest legacy left by Song Liren. I don't want to be too heartless, so I give her a 6-figure alimony every month. Under my encouragement and persuasion, my foster father Liao Jingquan undergoes regular active treatment, and his condition has been brought under control. I currently live with my foster parents, and they don't pressure me to get married. I spend my free time hanging out with my besties, enjoying both wealth and leisure, and living a carefree life. In this realm, I can finally achieve perfection. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. The system told me to redeem the villain. No, I want to redeem the villain's mother, the original villain's mother. Timid and hesitant, afraid to speak loudly, the villain's mother under my guidance, treating scumbags like beef balls to be pounded. Yi Fenghe, how come I didn't know you were so shameless before? You want the child and now you want the house too. As soon as I entered the novel world, I heard the sound of an argument outside the house. The man's coarse voice filled me with disgust. I've encountered several men with voices like that before. Her voice was hoarse like a truck had run over it. Yet she spoke loudly. All were extremely low-quality villains. The woman responded with sobs. Next came the sound of things being smashed, the woman's amplified crying, and the child's wails, all in a chaotic mess. The scene ended with the sound of a slammed door and a single word, "Get out." The commotion outside ceased, leaving only the woman's desperate sobs. I paid no attention and cooked a meal with whatever ingredients I had in the fridge. After eating, I watched a 3-hour movie. As the evening deepened and the noise outside grew fainter, I opened the door and gazed at the disheveled mother and son before me. Yi Fenghe, seeing me staring at her, stood up awkwardly, wiped away her tears, and apologized to me. "I'm sorry, did we disturb you?" I asked. "Would you like to bring the child in to sit for a while?" Yi Fenghe glanced at her own tightly closed door and said shyly, "Sorry to bother you." I poured 2 cups of hot water for them, sat down beside them, and took the lead in speaking. "My name is Zhuang Bing," Yi Fenghe said very shyly. "Sister Zhuang, my name is Yi Fenghe. Thank you for taking us in." She gently nudged Xiao Yi Qian and said, "Xiao Qian, say thank you to Aunt Zhuang." Once the novel, The Cold Stepson and the Charming Stepmother, was completed, the male and female leads were completely ignored. Antagonist Yi Qian topped the most heartbreaking antagonist list. His parents divorced in elementary school, and he went with his mother who left with nothing. The mother and son lived together in a tiny storage room, relying on each other. He dropped out of middle school to work and was deceived into the golden triangle, beating, electric shocks, water torture. He endured every form of torment imaginable. His mother went through great hardship to gather the money, hired a rescue team, and paid the ransom to save him. Less than a year later, he was beaten to death by his third husband while drunk. Yi Qian took advantage of his stepfather's drunken stupor and, like filleting a fish, sliced from the mouth, splitting him in two. Since he was under 18, he only served 8 years in prison. While in prison, he befriended a crime boss and, upon release, followed him to the Golden Triangle, where he lived a life of power and influence for 15 years. In the end, to save his daughter, he cooperated with the police to capture his mortal enemy and then committed suicide by shooting himself. Before his death, he said, hoping that his mother would live a long and healthy life in her next lifetime. This one sentence prompted countless readers to rush to claim him as their son. At this time, Xiao Yiqian was 8 years old, yet he was as short as a younger elementary school student, with his big, watery eyes fixed on me. He politely expressed his thanks, showing no trace of the major antagonist he would become as an adult. "You're welcome," I chatted with Yi Fenghe. "Your name is very nice." Instead of being happy, she explained nervously, "There's a river called Feng River in my hometown. My dad is uneducated. He originally named me Yi Fenghe, but the person registering my registered permanent residence misheard and called me Yi Fenghe. Women who attract toxic relationships share a common trait. They tend to belittle themselves, feeling deeply unworthy, and even simple compliments feel like too much to bear." I changed the subject and asked her, "You're only in your early 20s, right?" Yi Fenghe shook her head. "Where did you get that idea? I'm already 27, that's still very young." She shyly smiled. My casual tone gradually put Yi Fenghe at ease. "I am a strategist from the Wealth Through Books company. The company uses our technology to one-to-one replicate the novel's world. Live streaming the win process. Readers can either experience the novel world as a strategist or watch the drama unfold in various live streaming rooms. Just 5 minutes ago, I was still choosing the strategy mode for this mission. Between salvation through family and romantic conquest, I chose family salvation. When selecting the strategy character, my finger moved from pure college girl, understanding sister, sweet childhood friend, to resilient policewoman. After finding no options available, I manually typed in neighbor auntie. The system immediately popped up a warning. "Host, it is recommended to choose the tough female police officer, as this is the role identified by the system with the highest probability of success. The system has determined that the failure rate of your chosen role is extremely high, and no role or reader will like a middle-aged woman. I've been in a rebellious phase my entire life, and I scoff at the system's warnings. System, degrading terms for women is a human vice, and you are not allowed to adopt such language. From now on, if dad means something, then mom means the same thing." As I spoke, I continued to input the settings: character build, robust, character appearance, imposing, entering at age 8, confirmed. While I was talking to Yi Fenghe, Xiao Yiqian took out his workbook and started doing his homework. Like many elementary school students, he wrote with a heavy hand, indicating his seriousness. I dislike children, but he was so quiet that he wasn't at all annoying. It's hard to imagine so many strategists have all hit a wall with this child. The most common tactics have already been tried by the first few strategists: seduction, being a sycophant, returning to help the main antagonist in his childhood. The problem is that Yi Qian simply won't soften because of childhood kindness. There was a guide who helped him when he was young. They recognized each other when they grew up, and she risked her life to save him when Yi Qian was betrayed by his subordinates. She was even exceptionally intelligent, using strategy to preserve his power. Such a girl, possessing both top-tier beauty and wisdom. At the time, all the viewers in the live broadcast room thought that given how far things had gone, there was no reason for the strategy to fail. But after the warmth, he turned ruthless for the sake of profit, sending this strategy to another major drug lord. This strategy was a somewhat famous internet celebrity in the world of book. After her failure, many people lost their nerve. They all say Yi Qian is a complete ingrate, someone who can't be redeemed at all. After reviewing the situation, I found that there might be more to the story. Perhaps it's the case of being too close to the situation to see clearly. The guide didn't realize that after saving Yi Qian, he had been extremely indulgent towards her. Just as their feelings were heating up, the strategist brought up Yi Qian's mother. She said, "I've long suspected that your stepfather might harm your mother, which is why I left you a bank card, thinking you might need it someday." Whether the strategist couldn't see, Yi Qian's eyes turned ice cold in an instant. The strategist was indeed too clever, almost prophetic. But cleverness can sometimes be a double-edged sword. Yi Qian's most harrowing memory was of his mother being beaten to death. He couldn't help but wonder, if you were so clever and foresaw my mother's death, why didn't you stop it? Some tried to help Yi Qian's mother escape her fate of domestic abuse, but no matter how they intervened, she would always enter into her third marriage. The hardest thing to change is not fate, but one's thoughts. I withdrew my gaze from Xiao Yiqian. You call me sister, so I'll call you Xiao Yi. What are your plans for the future? Yi Fenghe lowered her head and said, he said if I want Xiao Qian, I must leave with nothing. Xiao Yiqian's pen stopped. Yi Fenghe took a deep breath, suppressing the sourness in her lungs, and continued, I'll find a job that offers food and lodging first. Once the divorce is finalized, I'll take Xiao Qian and move out. I can't let anything affect his schooling. I nodded in agreement. Yi Fenghe was not the type of woman to endure mistreatment passively. People in the omniscient perspective often find victims to be foolish. Ignorance is not stupidity. I gently persuaded, you can take the child, and you can also get what you deserve. Want to give it a try? Yi Fenghe suddenly looked up. Yi Fenghe's husband is a blonde. He was handsome and charming in his youth, able to sweet-talk his way into marrying a naive girl like Yi Fenghe. When the novelty was still fresh, he wouldn't hesitate to spend 9 out of every 10 cents on her. Getting older, he returned to his true nature, having an affair with the free-spirited owner of a hair salon. He brought his mistress home to live together, not leaving any dignity for Yi Fenghua. I told Yi Fenghua, go ahead and sue him, you'll definitely win. She hesitated. In this era, few people go to court for divorce, as they all feel it's shameful. To suddenly turn a bun into a brick is indeed a bit too much to ask of her. I deliberately provoked her. Do you think it's shameful to ask for money? Pride has no place when you're broke. If you leave with Xiao Qian and nothing else, and you get sick without money, you might even have to beg the doctor on your knees for treatment. Isn't that shameful? Being fired by the boss and having no money to end up on the streets. Isn't that shameful? Yi Fenghe's eyes flickered, showing that she had taken it in. She asked me again, will suing him really work? Of course. Even if you don't get the child, you can still get money. How can that be? I explained the logic to her in detail. The yellow-haired guy is eager to enjoy his life with the mistress, and he won't want Xiao Qian as a burden, even if you have to act. You must portray the image of someone who doesn't want Xiao Qian but only money. As long as Xiao Qian disrupts their couple time a few times, they'll naturally send him back to you. After all, kids grow legs and can run off on their own, right? Yi Fenghe covered his face in pain. Zhuang Jia, I know your good intentions, but I don't want Xiao Qian to know at such a young age that his father doesn't love him. To see so much filth at such a young age. Xiao Yiqian suddenly interjected, Mom, I'm not afraid. Without money, we'll have a hard life. How could Huang Mao ever have imagined that Yi Fenghe, who had always been so docile, would file for divorce? No children, just money. He was furious, pounding violently on my door. You bitch, come out here, you heartless gold digger. Have the nerve to take my money. You dare touch my money. Believe me, I'll kill you. Yifengyi bit her hand, not even daring to cry out loud. She trembled as she bowed to me. I'm sorry, Sister Zhuang, for causing you trouble. I'll handle these matters myself. With that, she walked towards the door, looking ready to face her fate. I stopped her, opened the door, and stood in front of the yellow-haired guy, casting a shadow over him. The yellow-haired guy took a startled step back, clearly not expecting me to be so burly. He felt that no matter how strong I was still a woman, and no matter how thin he was still a man. He spoke harshly. Is it you who corrupted my wife and made her sue me? He leaned in and shouted, Wife, come out. Let's settle our own matters ourselves. Yi Fenghua did not come out. I had instructed her that unless I called for her, she should not come out. She still listens to advice. After yelling for a long time with no response, the yellow-haired man turned his anger towards me. Look at you, no man would want you. I bet you're just jealous of my wife and trying to sow discord. Ugly old hag, no man will ever love you in this lifetime. I shrugged, completely unfazed by the attack. So what? Being loved is easy. I only want money. As soon as the yellow-haired guy heard the word, money, he got excited and shouted loudly, Honey, did you hear that? She's trying to scam us out of our money. Who would be so kind as to take you in for no reason? She's helping you just to get you to divorce me and take my money, then swindle our money from you. Don't fall for this old witch's tricks. come out quickly. We can handle our own affairs at home, don't let outsiders meddle. They're all trying to scam you out of your money. Yi Fenghe stepped out, and my heart skipped a beat. Go away, don't disturb others. Yi Fenghe's voice trembled as she said to the yellow-haired man, I don't want Xiao Qian anymore. Xiao Qian can stay with you. Just give me the property that's rightfully mine. The yellow-haired man started cursing loudly. Are you even human? For money, you're even willing to abandon your own son. Do you even feel guilty about me and Xiao Qian? He's lost his mother. What do you expect him to do? Yi Fenghe remained silent, but I could sense her body language gradually wavering. I also started yelling at her. Are you even human? You cheated on her and forced her to leave with nothing. Have you no conscience? Do you not fear being hit by a car tomorrow for all the evil you've done? The yellow-haired man was completely enraged, cursing with foul language before throwing a punch. I quickly pulled Yi Fenghe, who was trying to shield me. Behind me, with one hand, I firmly caught his fist, twisted him back, and the yellow-haired man immediately let out a pig-like scream. I kicked him in the butt, sending him flying out the door, and calmly threatened, either get a divorce, and we'll divide the money as it should be, or wait for the court's notice. Turning around, I closed the door and saw Yi Fenghe's eyes sparkling as she looked at me. She said, Sister Zhuang, I've never seen a woman as formidable as you. I smiled. Well, now you have. She asked me if Huang Mao would back down. I shook my head. Of course not. We still need to push him further. I had Yi Fenghe carry a bucket and fill it to the brim with sludge from the public restroom. We found out where the mistress's hair salon was and splashed it right at the entrance. The man and woman inside, who were chatting, took one look and let out the most terrified screams of their lives. Yi Fenghe's face turned red, and with hands on her hips, she weakly shouted, Zhang Hong, you're a homewrecker, you shameless. I patted her on the shoulder. Your voice is too soft. Say it again, Zhang Hong, you're the mistress. There's no force behind it. Say it again. Think about how she's about to sleep with your husband, live in your house, and hit your child. Yi Fenghe straightened up with renewed vigor. Zhang Hong, you're the other woman. How shameless. You even want to force me to leave with nothing. You're trying to drive me to death. Believe it or not. I'll make sure we both go down in flames. I'll come to your store every day and dump manure at your doorstep until your store goes bankrupt. After shouting, Yi Fenghe gave me a look asking for an evaluation. I remained silent, only giving a thumbs up. Actually, I think the attack is still quite weak, but I've made a lot of progress. Yi Fenghe straightened her back even more. At that time, the internet wasn't well developed, and people were simple and honest. Most people sided with us, condemning the mistress, but as the crowd grew, there were inevitably some unpleasant voices. She's so shrewish, no wonder her husband cheated. If I were her husband, I'd cheat too. I glanced over and saw a chubby man, like a boiled egg, pontificating there. Uncle, even 2 stone pillars stacked together are taller than you, and you still cheat on your wife. The old man's temper flared up at once. He looked around nervously, and when he saw me, his confidence immediately dropped by 3 points. He mumbled, Why are you talking to me like that, lady? I continued, Do you have a wife? If you do, give me her contact information. I'll introduce her to someone taller and handsomer than you. The bald old man silently retreated from the crowd of onlookers. Yellow hair came over, seeing me standing there like a massive mountain, and didn't dare to cause trouble. Perhaps Zhang Hong was feeling guilty. Or maybe the barber shop had some shady dealings, but Zhang Hong didn't call the police. After being splashed with water for 3 days, Yellow Hair came to seek peace. Under my suggestion, Yi Fenghe proposed the condition of taking only the house and not the savings. Houses weren't expensive at this time, so the yellow-haired guy reluctantly agreed. He looked thoroughly displeased. Take the kid, I don't want him, just get divorced and go play with your son every day. I'm not ashamed of you. Yi Fenghe didn't feel embarrassed at all. After causing a scene a couple of days ago, she had already experienced all kinds of strange looks and nasty rumors. Her psychological endurance has greatly improved, but her offensive capabilities still need to be strengthened. So she looked at me pleadingly. I pointed at Yi Fenghe and looked at the yellow-haired guy. She's just playing with you, but I can make you eat. Do you believe me? The yellow-haired guy knew I was capable of it and slinked away with his tail between his legs. After the divorce, I opened a restaurant called Good Luck Restaurant. Yi Fenghe's culinary skills were described as divine in the book. I wanted to hire her as a chef, but she initially felt she wasn't up to the task. Now, Every time she develops a new dish, she brings it to me to taste, eagerly awaiting my review. If I praise her, she'll be overjoyed for the entire day, humming while she cooks. Xiao Yiqian did his homework at the restaurant after school, and after finishing his homework, he helped clean up the dishes and tidy up. I feel like I have a wife and kids, with a warm bed to come home to. This feeling is quite wonderful. No wonder men like to get married. If I could marry a handsome and virtuous man, have him give birth to a daughter who looks like me, then it would be worth it to endure some hardship and fatigue. Yi Qian grew up to be 10 years old, showing no signs of turning into a villain. Yi Fenghua also began her second relationship. The book doesn't describe her second husband much, but from Yi Fenghua's perspective, her second husband, Liang Kun, seems to be a perfect partner, charming and generous, always ready to provide money, fond of children, and frequently took Yi Qian out to play. When Yi Qian was in the second year of middle school, Yi Fenghua became pregnant. The child who had once loved studying saw their grades plummet and insisted on dropping out to work. After Yi Qian left, Yi Fenghua felt deeply guilty and self-reproachful, believing it was because she hadn't cared enough for Yi Qian. It wasn't until she couldn't contact Yi Qian that she completely panicked. She tried every possible method, and finally learned that Yi Qian had been deceived into the Golden Triangle. She aborted her 5-month-old child and, in great pain, divorced Liang Kun. After enduring countless hardships to rescue Yi Qian, he became extremely silent, his entire being wooden, and his reactions to the outside world extremely slow. Yi Fenghua took Yi Qian to see a psychologist, bought a comfort dog, and traveled extensively with the boy and the dog, spent all the savings just to make him seem normal. Just as Yi Fenghua was pulling Yi Qian out of the mud, she had to jump into the abyss of her third marriage due to lack of money. Then I'm puzzled. In my memory, Yi Qian was a very diligent student, so how could he drop out of school just because Yi Fenghua was pregnant with a second child? Moreover, Yi Qian has always been cared for meticulously by Yi Fenghua, even if there was some neglect after becoming pregnant with the second child. It wouldn't have driven Yi Qian to the point of running away from home. After all, Yi Qian is in middle school now, and as a boy entering puberty, he has started to develop a sense of independence, so his reliance on his mother wouldn't be as strong. After thinking it over, the problem might still lie with that seemingly perfect stepfather. After all, if a person is too perfect, it defies reason. Liang Kun was a regular at the restaurant. He often came for dinner, and after eating, he wouldn't leave but would instead take the initiative to tutor Yi Qian's studies. Through the changing seasons, Yi Qian was admitted to the best key junior high school in the city. I believe this is Yi Qian's own achievement, but Yi Fenghua is very grateful to Liang Kun because of it and often sends him small dishes. Over time, the two became familiar with each other. When they were discussing marriage, Liang Kun's whole family gathered at my restaurant for a meal. The table wasn't too crowded or too sparse, with Liang Kun's parents, uncle and aunt and uncle, and sister and brother-in-law. Liang Kun is a first-time groom but fell in love with a woman who has been married before. His family places great importance on this, which is why they are now evaluating Yi Fenghua. Ya Fenggo, having welcomed many guests at the restaurant, had shed her former timidity and now carried herself with poise and grace. The Liang family exchanged subtle glances. Liang Kun's father wiped his mouth and, playing the role of the elder, began to lecture Ya Fenggo. Although this isn't your first marriage, we won't stand in your way, given that you can bear sons and are virtuous. Ya Fenggo, believing she had earned their approval, broke into a delighted smile. Liang Kun's father changed the subject. However, once you're pregnant with our Liang family's heir, quit your job and stay home to cook and take care of the children. Yi Fenghua glanced at me but didn't voice any objections. By the time we were full and the meal was over, it was already late at night. After cleaning up and closing up, we relaxed and chatted idly. Yi Fenghua said, "Zhuangjia, I want to get married. What do you think of Liang Kun?" I replied bluntly, "Not very good." "How so?" She assumed an attentive posture. "It's a gut feeling." I thought about it and pointed out what seemed strange to me. All the women in his family have short hair. Seeing her puzzled expression, I continued, "Long hair requires more time and effort to maintain than short hair. The fact that there isn't a single woman in their family with long hair suggests that the women in their family are not allowed to spend too much time and effort on themselves." Yi Fenghua looked astonished, then laughed. "Sister Zhuang, maybe you're overthinking it. Perhaps they all just like short hair." I fiddled with the teacup. not refuting her, it was just a feeling I had. I trust my feelings, even if they're sometimes wrong, Yi Fenghe said again. Zhuangjia, if you were a man, that would be great. I would definitely not want anyone else and would follow you for a lifetime. I suddenly laughed and said, usually after this sentence, there's a follow-up. Unfortunately, you're a woman. She was stunned. I said, fortunately, I'm a woman, which is why I can help you. If I were a man, I might not see or understand your suffering, or even if I did see it. As a beneficiary of the status quo, I would choose to turn a blind eye. Yi Fenghe seemed lost in thought. She later opened another bottle of wine and began to ramble about her family. She had a younger brother. Her family wouldn't let her go to school. They forced her to marry an old man at the age of 15 in exchange for a bride price. She ran away, leaving home to find work. She met a guy with yellow hair who bought her a pack of sanitary pads during her period. Later, they got married, a very cliched story. As if I've heard countless similar versions, there are many women like Yi Feng. To some extent, their thinking can indeed be called ignorant, but that is not their own fault. They struggle to survive in this world of the weak being preyed upon by the strong, and must find a man to protect them. Like a domesticated pet cat that doesn't know how to hunt, she had to find a master to adopt her. Yi Fenghe gave a bitter smile. Zhuangjia, sometimes I envy you for being so capable that you don't need to rely on men for anything. I know men can't be trusted, but I have no choice. I nodded and said nothing more. I couldn't change her thoughts, just as I couldn't change this era. But the reason why the current era is getting better and better is precisely because millions of people like her are gradually awakening. Yi Fenghe still married Liang Kun. In the first few months of their marriage, her eyes and brows radiated happiness. Before, even though she had Yi Qian, a fulfilling job, and no worries about food and clothing, she would occasionally reveal a worried expression. She now exudes a sense of complete tranquility. Yi Qian has grown taller. His features combine the best of both parents, becoming increasingly handsome as he matures. According to Yi Fenghe, Liang Kun is very fond of Yi Qian. He often went to Yi Qian's room to tutor him, and on weekends, he would take him out to play. Liang Kun's fondness for Yi Qian was like a reassurance for Yi Fenghe. The person she valued most was Yi Qian. What she had once feared most was that her second husband would treat Yi Qian, the child from her previous marriage, poorly. She was quite satisfied with her choice. I still had no clue about the reason Yi Qian ran away from home. I started to suspect it had something to do with school bullying, so I planned to move the shop closer to Yi Qian's school. During this period, I often scouted locations near his school. While negotiating prices with the shop owner, I happened to see Liang Kun taking Yi Qian out to eat. Yi Fenghe had told me that on busy days at noon, she would have Liang Kun pick up Yi Qian to go out for a meal. From a distance, I suddenly saw Liang Kun touch Yi Qian's face. I clicked my tongue and felt a chill run down my spine. Was it my imagination? No matter how I looked at it, this tender caress felt like a man stroking his lover. The more Yi Fenghe valued Yi Qian, the more Yi Qian valued Yi Fenghe. Yi Fenghe is newlywed and deeply in love. If someone were to tell her, your husband's true love doesn't seem to be you, but your son, she would not be able to accept it. If Liang Kun is really that perverse, then it makes sense that Yi Qian left home to work in order to secure Yi Fenghe's marriage. Children have a vague understanding of many things. After Yi Fenghe repeatedly mentioned how good Liang Kun was to Yi Qian would not doubt that Yi Fenghe had misjudged the person, but would instead doubt that he himself was wrong. From Yi Qian's perspective, he might even feel like an ungrateful person. Even though even my mom thinks that Liang Kun is so good and caring towards me, but I just find Liang Kun disgusting. Am I really the one with the problem? He must have struggled with inner turmoil for a long time. Should I tell my mom, I hate my stepfather's touch? Will my mom think I'm a nuisance? Mom says Liang Kun is so good, but I hate him, so it must be my fault. Am I supposed to cause my mom to get a divorce? She is so happy now. Yi Qian could only choose to drop out of school and leave home. I exhale a breath. I didn't tell Yi Fenghe. I knew that if I did, she would only think I was overthinking. It's perfectly normal for a father to touch his son's face. I chose to have a private conversation with Yi Qian. Yi Qian is a quiet-looking child, but in fact, he is very observant and has a lot of thoughts. Before Yi Fenghe divorced and got the house, our place had been marked by a thief. Yi Qian discovered it and moved the mark to the wall next door. Later, We indeed heard that the yellow-haired guy got into a fight with a thief in the middle of the night and was slashed by the thief with a knife. When Ichien came to me, I realized that the kid was already a bit out of it. I've seen people who have trouble sleeping for a long time, and they look just like this, lacking vitality. I asked him if he had something on his mind. After hesitating for a moment, he still said, "No." I decided not to beat around the bush and directly asked, "Have you noticed anything off about Liang Kun?" Ichien's body stiffened, and I immediately knew I was on the right track. "I find Liang Kun quite strange. Do you need my help?" "Actually, you don't need to worry too much about your mom. Between Liang Kun and you, she would definitely choose you." Ichien was caught off guard by my words. He looked up, his expression filled with grievance, and hesitantly asked me, "Really? She would really choose me?" I sighed inwardly and assured him, "She would definitely choose you." Ichien shook his head in anguish and finally broke down in tears. "She won't. Last time I upset Uncle Liang, my mom made me apologize to him." "Why do you have to apologize?" "I didn't like Uncle Liang touching me, so I pushed him, and then my mom made me apologize to him." I was silent for a moment, then said, "It's your mom's fault, Ichien. Everyone makes mistakes. Your mother is also an ordinary person. She has blind spots, things she can't hear, and things she can't discover. When she makes a mistake, we'll tell her and help her out of it." "Okay." After a pause, I added, "If she refuses to correct her mistake, we'll let the law punish Uncle Liang." Hearing my words, Yi Qian decided to confess to Yi Fenghe. He told his mother in detail about everything Liang Kun had done during this period. When tutoring homework, Liang Kun liked to caress Yi Qian's cheek. As he did so, he would gradually grip his neck, his fingers moving like cold, slimy snakes. If Yi Fenghe came home late from work, he would enter Yi Qian's room and insist on sleeping with him, to prevent Liang Kun from touching him while he slept. Yi Qian often stayed awake all night, staring at the ceiling. Yi Fenghe was utterly devastated, wailing like a madwoman. Even when Huang Mao kicked her out of the house, she hadn't been this devastated. Yi Qian finally cried and asked her, "Why is it that as long as he likes me, he can touch me without my consent? Why can't I decide that you can enter my room, but he can't? You can touch me, but he can't?" Yi Fenghe kept apologizing. "It's my fault. I didn't respect your thoughts. I was blind to have misjudged someone, causing you to suffer like this." As soon as Liang Kun got off work, he saw his gentle wife and handsome stepson sitting on the sofa watching TV. He was in a great mood and sat down beside them, seemingly casual as he said, "Shall I sleep with Xiao Qian tonight?" Liang Kun really liked Yi Qian. This child had an extraordinary aura, almost like an international star. If it weren't for marrying Yi Fenghe, he wouldn't have had the chance to come into contact with such a beautiful child. Seeing Yi Qian's evasive eyes, he felt even more pride in having both the mother and child at his mercy. His wife got up and went to the kitchen, and he didn't suspect anything. He moved next to Yi Qian, but before he could speak, his eyes were covered. Liang Kun chuckled softly, thinking it was his wife's playful gesture. In the next second, everything went black, and his mouth hurt as he was covered with a sack. Liang Kun thought of Chaozhou handmade beef balls. He felt as if his entire body was undergoing that pounding, "Beast, beast, beast." It was Yi Fenghe's voice. How did Yi Feng discover it? Did Yi Qian tell her? Her vocabulary for cursing was quite limited, but her voice sounded like a broken tape recorder stuck in a loop. Lowlife, scum worse than pigs and dogs, psychologically twisted like this. Was it always crowded from the back door since you were young, incompetent, good-for-nothing one, so desperate? Why not go to Japan and be a male escort? Has Yi Fenghe upgraded her version? No, that's the boss of Yi Fenghe, the one who's so damn strong. Liang Kun wanted to shout, "Help!" but his mouth was stuffed with something filthy and foul-smelling. His cheeks stretched to the point of bursting. He didn't know how much time had passed. They stopped, panting, and he heard the sound of his phone unlocking. Photos, evidence, can't just let it go. Liang Kun's heart sank. How could they have opened his secret photo album? It contained thousands of secretly taken photos. The next day, Yi Fenghe used Liang Kun's phone to request a 10-day sick leave for him. Yi Fenghe was well known for being gentle and virtuous. None of Liang Kun's colleagues suspected her. Yi Fenghe bought a dog leash and tied Liang Kun up. He slept on the floor every day, with restricted movement, and would be beaten if he went beyond the limits. There was no food, only a dog bowl with a little water to ensure he didn't die of thirst. They threatened Liang Kun, saying that if he dared to run, they would call the police, and the evidence they had was enough to send him to prison. Every day, the beatings were inevitable. After removing the sack, Yi Fenghe would always say, "It's all your fault for doing such despicable things, forcing me to lay a hand on you. I don't want to hit you either." After 5 days of this, Liang Kun couldn't take it anymore and secretly reported himself to the police. He also had the police arrest Yi Fenghe, but since Liang Kun lacked sufficient evidence and domestic violence falls under family disputes, the police could only mediate. Yi Fenghe was still putting on an act in front of the police. She cried pitifully, asking him to touch his heart and say whether he only hit her when he was angry and treated her impeccably otherwise. Neighbors and colleagues also testified on Yi Fenghe's behalf. Liang Kun felt utterly hopelessness. Was his beating in vain? Damn it, why isn't domestic violence considered violence, but rather a family dispute? After Liang Kun went to prison, Yi Qian became noticeably more cheerful. According to the system's detection, his probability of going dark is 0, but Yi Fenghe's third marriage has always been a ticking time bomb. What surprised me was that in the face of that man's relentless pursuit, Yi Fenghe refused very decisively. In the evening, we were drinking and eating skewers together, when Yi Fenghe suddenly sighed. "Zhuang Jia, isn't it strange, we three get along so well. Why did I ever get so obsessed with getting married before?" I knew she was talking to herself. So I smiled and remained silent, waiting for her to continue. Later, after reading more books and browsing the internet more, I realized that my previous thinking was problematic. I was overly concerned with others' evaluations. I was afraid that people would say it was my fault. That's why my man cheated. I was afraid others would say that after leaving my ex-husband, no man would want me. Later, I realized, let whoever wants to say it. Old Shang from the village even claims that Jack Ma has aligned with the Japanese. If even Jack Ma can be talked about, what's the big deal if others say a few things about me? I laughed heartily and raised my glass, saying, "Congratulations, it means you've developed self-awareness." Yi Fenghe asked curiously, "What's self-awareness?" I thought for a moment and said, "Whatever you seek it within yourself." Yi Fenghe shook her head in confusion. "Zhuang Jia, I don't understand. Can you explain it in simpler terms? What you want, you should seek for yourself. No one will love you more than you love yourself." She felt a bit troubled. "I still can't quite do it. I can't bear to be too good to myself." Yi Qian finished his evening self-study session and exclaimed as soon as he walked in the door, "Mom, Aunt Zhuang, you're eating skewers behind my back again." At this age of pure hunger, he threw down his backpack and started devouring the food ravenously. I said, "People are not distinguished by wealth, poverty, beauty, or ugliness, but there are indeed distinctions of high and low status among people. People always think their fate is determined by heaven, but a good life is lived by oneself. If you cherish yourself and treat yourself well, your life will become increasingly valuable." Yi Fenghe nodded and immediately put this into practice. "Yi Qian, put down that lamb leg, it's mine." Leaving the novel's world happened after Yi Qian went to university. Under the dual guidance of Yi Fenghe and me, the worst Yi Qian ever did was kicking a shoeless person's shoes across 3 train carriages on the subway. There is no longer the main antagonist Yi Qian. From now on, there is only the 185 centimeters shy and innocent college student Yi Qian. My account gained millions of followers. The reward for successfully completing the quest, along with the share of live stream donations, brought me tens of millions in income, allowing me to achieve financial freedom overnight. The company invited me to host a live interview program. During the fan QA session, someone asked me why I decided to redeem Yi Fenghe. The questioner said, "Many people came for Yi Qian, but Yi Qian's storyline is particularly scarce. Most of Yi Fenghe's storylines are boring and overly sentimental." I corrected the term, overly sentimental, and, after thinking for a moment, said, "Everyone knows that a child without a mother is like a blade of grass, but no one asks why the child has no mother. So many male leads, male second leads, and villains have been redeemed, so I think someone should redeem a mother." Someone retorted, "But not all mothers are worth saving." I nodded. Some mothers are indeed perpetrators, but at least Yi Fenghe is not. Question, the host is quite good looking. So why become an auntie? It's ruining my ability to enjoy the show. Me, I hope the terms auntie and uncle can be unified in meaning. Question, how did you realize Liang Kun had ill intentions? Why couldn't I see anything unusual about him touching Yi Qian's face at the time? Are you just overly suspicious, seeing everything as dirty, and happen to be right by chance? I let out a helpless laugh, feeling that answering questions was even more exhausting than completing mission guides. The next question quickly popped up: which novel world is the host heading to for the next mission? I really admire the host's feminine charm. I glanced through the rankings. Recently, green tea female leads have been quite popular, so I might try that genre. Are we talking about the kind of green tea girl who can sob and break the male lead's ribs? Anchor, after hearing the two stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.